This episode is a little bit of continuation of my previous episode where I mentioned at the very beginning that, and I made a question mark, a food for thought for you guys to just think whether Tariq bin Zayad burned the ship. So the question here, did Tariq bin Zayad burn the ships? Why? One of the Egyptian scholar, which you can see the name on the screen, he did a good of research, and he's a doctor by profession but also a writer of many books. So he did a bit of great work of research. The conclusion was that there is no great evidence that Tariq bin Zayad burned the ships when he entered the Iberian Peninsula, and there are a few reasons for that. First of all, there is no clear evidence in history. All these books after the Reconquista, majority of them, piles and hundreds of books were burnt when Cordoba was conquered. Similar happened when Granada. At that time, in the main square of Granada, all the books from Alhambra, from the libraries, were burned. These people didn't acknowledge, didn't understand what they're doing. They burned all the evidence, all the scientific things. Till 12th century, there is a name comes at Al-Makari. Al-Makari was a later 12th century Muslim historian. He writes down, and again in his writings, there is no evidence that the ships were burnt at all. The second point is that the burning of the ships was at the policy of Damascus. Musa bin Nasir was the commander of Tariq bin Zayad. It was just 2 days journey to send a ship back to Moroccan area, Africa it was called at that time, and to ask them what is the further instructions on that, or any information from Caliph in Damascus. And also this is supported by the fact that the local population was already quite annoyed with the treatment they were receiving from the Visigoth king, King Roderick. So, and the third point is that Europeans historians later in 13th, 14th century plays a major role in spreading this information, because they were shocked to see that just few thousand, I think there are 7,000, something like this, defeated an army of 100,000. Basically, they were so annoyed and astonished by the finding that this small Muslim army defeated such a big army of Roderick, and how is it possible? And they spread this rumor that Tariq bin Zayad ordered to burn the ships so that they don't go back, and the only option will be to fight if they want to survive. The fourth important thing is that there has never been recording in the Muslim history that the Muslims need motivation to fight. Damascus was conquered, Jerusalem was conquered, Muslim army reached Egypt, Alexandria was conquered. The evidence in Muslim history travels with a chain of narration. There was nobody there who witnessed this event, or a chain of narration from generation to generation. In the 18th, 19th century, to fascinate people, the Orientalists, they wrote all these things to make stories, these type of legends. Defeat is a possibility. defeat in war, they will make strategies, they will move forward, then they will attack again. And this is what had happened in Khaybar, and this is what happened in the conquest of Jerusalem. The Muslim army surrounded it, sieged the city of Jerusalem for 4 months. So there are many different examples where they don't need this type of incentive. And the sixth important main point is that all ships did not belong to the Arab forces or the Berbers. There are just few vessels. Rest of the fleet was borrowed from Count Julian. Count Julian was the Count of Ceuta, and Count Julian already sent a party of his people who were ready to receive Tariq Bin Zayad on the Gibraltarian side of Spain, Iberia. So there was preparation already made, because these people of Count Julian, and basically if you go in my series 1, I have discussed in detail why Count Julian went against Roderick. So basically his men were there on ground and Gibraltar area, or this area where the Muslim army and the troops landed, to help them and show them the way in and to reach the rest of the land and to fight with the forces of Roderick. These were the borrowed ships. Why Tariq bin Zayad will burn without permission those souls which he is not responsible? He is only responsible for his own life as a Muslim. How come put forward all of his troops into danger? This is all stories, legends, fascinating people. Unfortunately, in Pakistani history, Andheri Raat Ke Musafir is a novel. It's written 10% is fact, 90% is all fabrication. So to selling books and make novels, people have made dramas and all that. Good for fascination.
सन 1491 के आखिरी महीने की एक सुबह उफ़क़ मशरिक पर उभरता हुआ सूरज अपनी सुनहरी और रुपहली किरणों के जाल फैला रहा था। मलका अज़ाबेला शाही खैमे से कुछ दूर एक पहाड़ी पर खड़ी थी और गरनाता का धुंधला सा मंजर इसके सामने था। कभी कभी इसकी निगाहें इर्द गिर्द फैले हुए खैमों या पड़ाव से आगे वैगा के नशेबो फराज में उन वीरान बस्तियों में जा रुकती, जहां जले और उजड़े हुए मकानात जंग की होलनाकियों की गवाही दे रहे थे।
You enjoy the show, but unfortunately, the reality is some of you may not like it. There was no burning of ships. There is no record of it. Behind you is the sea, and before you is the enemy. In the name of Allah we will fight, and there is no go back. This information was just inserted into the Muslim history.
तो तारीख में काउंट जूलियन को स्पेनिश लोग ट्रेटर के तौर पर याद रखते हैं।